hearts to receive. Let's open our ears to listen to the words that our friend Luiz had prepared for us. May God shine upon him the light and love and guidance for the words that we're going to hear from his mouth. So thank you. We thank you all for the presence. We thank you all for the love and support, and so be it.
Good evening. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to come and talk with you tonight about the gospel according to the Spiritism. Tonight, I was asked to talk about chapter 5, the, we talk about blessed are the afflicted, or the meek, or the simple. So what we're talking to tonight, we could go and extend looking at all the chapter 5, talking about all the justice, all the goods and bads, and the changes in our life that happen, and try to justify those changes, trying to explain why they happen or why we are here or why we are in the position we are. We could even say why we are in Australia, where we are relatively safe from COVID, and why we're not in Brazil and being way more affected by the pandemic. We could try to go and explain all those things, but really, I don't have an explanation for that, and I don't think anybody can come here and try to explain God's directions. Nobody can come here and tell us, this is why I think I suffer, and this is why I think die doesn't suffer. Instead of talking about this, exactly about these points, I decided to have a view on those words, divine justice, and have a look in depth what they mean and what they meant during the time. Okay. So starting with justice, my question is, what is justice? What do you think is justice? Anyone can try? The same for everyone. Yep. It's a good try. Anybody else? Yep.
Same for everyone means you have a person that's very short, a medium, and a high person facing a wall. A box for each of all of them, they have the same.
Yep.
The shorter one is still not seen over the wall.
Yep.
Even the second one is not seen over the wall. Only the tallest one can see when you step on the box. So which means that the same for everyone is not really just
exactly.
It's not really, it's not just, it's just justice, not using the word justice to define justice.
Yep.
What is suitable for that situation at that time? I think
Yep.
it's more regulation.
Anybody else has a view of what is justice? No. Okay. So what I got in the dictionary is very short. Just behavior or treatment. Very simple, very direct, explains the word justice, but really doesn't give a meaning to it, doesn't give a in-depth meaning. And I found what in Wikipedia, what I think it's a very good explanation. And it says, justice in its broadest sense is the principle that people receive that which they deserve, with the interpretation of what then constitutes deserving, being impacted upon by numerous fields, with many differing viewpoints and perspectives, including the concepts of moral correctness based on ethics, rationality, law, religion, equity, and fairness. So, based on moral, based on equity, we can say that justice is different in different countries. Justice is seen as different by different people, by different eras as well. You cannot say that justice was the same 10 years back, leave alone 2,000 years back. What we consider justice now doesn't really mean that it was justice 2,000 years back. Could be that it was just a sign of weakness. And this becomes very interesting when we go and try to look at the meaning of justice throughout the times. Just looking at the major religions, okay? If we go and look at Moses, what was justice for him? Or according to Moses' law, which was a divine law at that time. It was an eye for an eye. If you did bad, that's it. You're done. You're gonna pay for it. That was the justice at the times of Moses. Then we can look at Buddha. Buddha came with the principles of love. So we give love. We have the principle of reincarnation. But we still can be punished, as we can come back and reincarnate as a lower being. We can come back, if I don't do good, I can come back as a dog or a chicken. See? See, it's another way of looking at justice. But that was what Buddha brought to us. That was the meaning of justice at that time. Jesus showed us that we should love, show to the face. If someone hits you, you show to the face. How many times should I forgive? Okay, or forever. That was Jesus' principle. But again, At that time, he couldn't say much more than that. He could only say, forgive, be afflicted. Blessed are the afflicted. That was what he could say at that time. We have Muhammad that brought do good and you're gonna have the heaven with the 70 or so virgins. So you do good, you're gonna be rewarded. You're gonna get a reward for doing good. And then we could talk about others, but really for us, Kardec, what he brought for us. On the Spirit's book, question 648, he start talking about the natural laws, the laws of God, the laws that are eternal. And then he asks the spirits, the question is, what do you think of the division of natural law into the 10 parts? The laws of adoration, labor, reproduction, preservation, destruction, society, progress, equality, liberty, and the law of justice, love, and charity, which is the one that encompasses all the laws, that brings everything together. Love, justice, love, and charity. The spirits answer to him. This division of God's law into 10 parts comes from Moses and covers all the circumstances of life, which is the essential point. You may adopt it without it being unconditional. Just like any of the other various classification systems, which depend on the perspective or situation in question. The last law is the most important because it includes all the others. By observing this law, the last one, justice, love, and charity, humankind can advance the most quickly in spiritual life. So my interpretation of this answer is, it's okay to divide in 10. However, this is linking to Moses' law. Doesn't mean it's forever. It will be like that. But justice, love, and charity are the real things for us. Are the real things for us to keep in our hearts. And this is how we can really evolve as spiritual beings. Okay? So this is my thought, my definition of justice. This is how I think justice is. Jackson, he helped me with Pietro Bald, showing that Pietro Bald has a more modern view of justice, which is love, which is bringing all the love together, which, yes, it's pretty much the same as the justice, love, and charity. On the renovando atitudes, which I think it's renewing attitudes or changing attitudes in English. I'm not really sure. I couldn't find it. I couldn't find a version in English. Uh, there is a chapter, well, on this book, he takes bits and pieces from the gospel according to Spiritism, and he talks about it in each chapter. Uh, there is a chapter in Portuguese reads Crenças and Karmas, which is beliefs, and I think karma is the same as the Sanskrit word. And halfway through, he talks about love that covers a multitude of sins, covers all the sins. He explains that karma is not really a consequence, but it comes from the Sanskrit, which translates into action, which he explains that our karma means we must take action. Action to change what's not good in us, to love. And then he continues and tells us, suffering doesn't make us better. The only thing that makes us better is love. If we did bad in the past, I can suffer, but I do much better to myself if I love, because the love covers all the sins. Love forgives all the sins. And this is justice. Then we start talking about the second word, divine. A simple word. Anyone want to give a try? What is divine? Yep, that's pretty simple. Related to God. Okay. If we look at different religions, we can say that religions that have a belief in different gods will split God's qualities into different gods. So we'll have a God that controls the weather, a God that will control the earth, and so on. If we get the Hindu religion, or the Hindus, they have 1,000 or so gods. Yep. So everything has a God. For Christians, we have one God. And what is God? Okay. Yes, G?
Hi, Luiz. How are you? Can you hear me?
Nope, we cannot hear you.
Can anyone online hear me? Can Pesk hear me?
We can hear you, Gisele.
Okay, so it's something over there. I can text if it's better. I just want to clarify something about the Hindus.
G, don't I give it a try?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
No. Sorry.
No, okay, so who can hear me?
We cannot hear you, sorry.
I can tell you and then you can tell them, right? Does that work? If I tell you, you can just pass on them what my comment is? Can I try? Yeah? Can I say? And tell Pesk. Or I can write text. Yeah, I'll try to chat then.
No, it's our sound. Yeah, it's coming from the computer.
Can you type it, Gisele?
Yeah, I'm typing.
Great.
Yeah.
We are ready for your question.
It's a clarification, actually.
Yes.
I
Long,
just want to clarify. Are you hearing me? Luiz, can you hear me?
Very soft, but
Can you
yes,
hear
I
me
can
now?
hear you.
Can you hear me
Yes,
now?
it's okay. Yeah.
Okay, so I'll tell you and you tell them, okay? It's
Yep.
just a clarification I would like to do in regards to the Hinduism. When you mentioned that everything has a God, what really happens in the Hinduism is that there is only one God, and it calls Brahma. So
Yep.
there is only one God. But what they work out is like, because God is everything and has all the qualities, qualities that we judge positives, but also qualities that we judge sometimes negative, like destruction, for example. So all the qualities are in God. So what they did, they create kind of avatars, avatars. So every God that you mentioned is actually a representation of the same God, is a representation of a quality of God. So I just want to clarify that, because people usually think that Hinduism is a polytheism. Is that how you call polytheism? But it's not. It's not. It's only one God. It's the Brahman, but it has kind of a hierarchy of representation of this God.
So if I got it right, Hinduism has Brahma as their god, and this god has many faces, and each face is one of God's quality. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So when we mention names, you are actually mentioning some quality of God. Yeah.
Okay. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you, Luis.
Thank you. Yep. Okay. So everyone got it now, okay? And then when we go into Spiritism, we ask, what's God? And again, on the Spirit's book, Kardec, on the very first question, he went and asked, what's God? Answer came straight. God is the supreme intelligence, the first cause of everything. Question number 2 is, what's to be understood by the infinity? That which has neither a beginning nor an end, the unknown. All that's unknown is infinite. Infinite. Question 3 is, can God be said to be infinite? And question came, this is an incomplete definition. One shortcoming of the language, of humankind language, is that lacks the ability to define that which transcends. Good? Okay. So just repeating. One shortcoming of humankind language is that it lacks the ability to define that which transcends human intelligence. The answer is, you don't know what God is. So because you don't know what God is, you call God infinite. That's period. And Kardec explains that God is infinite in its divine perfection, or in God's perfections. But infinite is an abstraction. Asserting that God is infinite is to substitute the attribute of something with the thing itself. So God is infinite, and we're given the attribute of being infinite. Something that's really hard to understand. Okay? And God, being infinite in its perfections, further on the book, it says that there are qualities that we don't even have a name for it now. Qualities that we're gonna learn that are unknown to us in such a way that we don't even know what it means. Then we come to get what's divine justice. If you want to call justice, we have to say there is a law for it. There are some principles that must be followed. And if we don't follow those principles, there are consequences. Are we good with that? Then we go back to Moses and say, the consequence back in Moses were that you're gonna be punished an eye for an eye. And we keep coming, and Kardec tells us love, charity. Is this the final definition? Of course not. Of course not. We're gonna evolve much more, and we're gonna learn much more. We're gonna progress in our knowledge and our qualities in a way that we're gonna be much better and learn those qualities. Could be in 1 year, 10 years, 1,000 years, another Jesus or Jesus comes back and tells us, explains to us that, look, things are slightly different. Things change. But we should change. But God's law was always the same. How can we go back and say, hey, but Moses said this, Jesus said that, and then Kardec came, and Pietro Bald comes and tells us love. How is that all different? How can we say that's the divine justice, that's the law? No, it's just our way of looking at the law at that time. The way that with our very limited knowledge, we looked at it and said, this is how it is. But no, it's not. It's not. God is infinite in its love. How can we try to understand it? All we can do is love, charity, love each other, give love, and do our best in regards to love. So that's the message I want to bring to you tonight, saying God always existed. What really changes is our perception of this law. His law, or its laws, have never changed. Kardec showed this law, God's law, as natural laws, divided it in that way. Again, that's not the ultimate definition. It can evolve. It can bring more love. And that's a question I want to put to you. So why it's always changing? Why we keep changing? No, our perception of the law. Why we keep saying that God's law is different? Or why?
Divine law is natural. It's a natural with all people. And then there is the human justice, which is a justice made by man, perceived by man.
Yep.
And let's say, the man may simply associate God on its law, on its perception to give more legitimacy to it, but it's not really the divine law. It's the main law involved the divine law to give it more legitimacy, which is really not. So I think there are two things: is the human justice and the divine law. The divine law is the natural law, and then you still understanding it. Because as we understand it, we transfer and transpose to the human law. In the infinite, the two will converge. But the human law is the natural law. It's the law of nature, it's the law of loving each other, loving yourself, loving each other, what ties. So that's my perception, and what I said, anthropology shows the evolution of justice as the human being evolved, not just in material, but also in spiritual. So the evolution of the ords of spiritus, okay, bringing on its history, on its experience, the understanding of the divine law, the natural law, playing on those words of spirits that advance in time and bring as a collective the justice of human more close to the justice law. And that's how the human law evolves across the time, where starting at the beginning, at the very beginning, as the law of the stronger. The justice was the stronger rule.
The stronger was the God.
Sorry?
The stronger was the God.
Yes, that was the personification of justice at the time. But then the ords of spirits that was under those law starting to reflect, starting to be opposed, and starts to bring a different view in the law, and the justice started to change, and incorporate some ethics, some other views, which is more towards the divine law, the natural. So that's my perception.
Anybody else? Why we see justice so different? Why God has always been, and we changed divine law over the time. Why you think it changed?
Because humanity is getting a little bit more spiritualized. There has to be into our spiritual qualities, then we have better perception.
Yep.
I think if we bring more, maybe easy example would be as we apply the same justice for, like, for example, a child, or it's like a child does something and then
there is a consequence about what that child is. You need to educate that person, that little person that is growing. And the way that child sees your action as a father at the age of 2, 3 is one. Once that child grows by age of 10 and they remind about what happened in the past, let's just say, it's going to have a second interpretation of that. And once it's evolved, you know, it have more understanding, more experience as a living thing. It looks back and see, oh, what my father did when I was 3, that was fair enough. That's helped me grow once again. But once that person was 3, he didn't have the understanding, the tools to understand that justice at that time and what that father had that way and the consequences and the justice of, things like that. I think it would be something like that because we just like a child that just grow it every year, you learn, just like school. Every year we're able to understand a little bit more because we have a baggage of the past life and the past year. So the more we go, the more we have the understanding, not because the law changed, but because our understanding is better and more evolved to try to understand God as this supreme love and charity and I think
Fatima. Yeah, Fatima. Angela. Yes, I think what you're saying, Dai, is very similar to what Angela said, Jackson as well. It's pretty much my conclusion for tonight. As the law, it's always the same. The law didn't change. Exactly. Exactly. The laws, the God's law, the divine law, it's always the same. What changes is us. Our moral and intellectual understanding is growing, and our view of the law is getting closer and closer to it. Now, as an individual, I am evolving every day. I'm learning. I am changing myself. My thoughts change with me. Jackson has a different thought. Why he has a different thought? Why Angela has a different thought? Because we are not all at the same evolutional level. As spiritual beings, one can be ahead of the other in one understanding. And when I asked initially, what is justice? We had different meanings for it because we are in different stages of our evolution. And as a society, it's the same. Society, it's nothing but a collective of people. And it's the collective of what we think. A society is good or bad because of the people on it, because of the evolutionary level people in that society are. Our planet is the same. It's the collective of all of us. And our laws, our understanding of the divine's law is exactly the collective of our moral and intellectual understanding. That's what I had to tell you guys tonight. Any comments? Nope. Comments? So can we close? Thank you. Thank you for having me. Yeah. Sorry. let's say thanks for this opportunity. Thanks for growing intellectually, morally. Thanks God for your love to us, your unconditional love. Thanks for sharing this knowledge. Thanks for being on this planet, for having this opportunity to be incarnated, to learn. Thanks for the little help we bring to this world. Thanks for our friends. Thanks for those who are not our friends today. And thanks for the opportunities we have to become friends. Thanks for the growing opportunities. And that's St. Francis said, that I can recognize those opportunities, that each of us can grow and learn, that our love, our charity is spread to the world, that we have as a group the light to send to our brothers and sisters who suffer, all those who are in need, all those who are suffering from this pandemic. Thank you for we being safe. Thank you for your love to us. We beg that we are dignified of this love with our attitudes, and that we can share this love with all our friends, brothers, sisters. Let's take this love to all those people suffering, especially our friends who were remembered today. We can let them have some love, receive the same love came to us tonight. Spread this love to these people. And Father, we humbled ask you that we can carry this light during the week, and everyone who comes close to us can recognize as your disciple, the ones spreading your light. We say thank you. Amen. Tchau, pessoal. Obrigado. Boa noite para vocês.